Good morning, everyone. It's Andy from Chronically Healthy Life. As a functional longevity, as a functional nutrition and longevity coach, I love to share about the latest things that can affect your longevity, your health, and potentially how long or short you can live your life, right? And it's interesting. There's so much news going on that keeps everyone distracted. But did anyone notice what was released? Oh, make sure I don't get hit by a car. What was released recently by AHA, by the American Heart Association. And this is very interesting because they got new guidelines as to what is considered a healthy blood pressure. So, aging myself, I'm 55 this year. I was born in 1970, and through the 70s and 80s, guess what was considered a healthy blood pressure by the medical system? It was anything under 140 over 90, right? 140 on the upper number and 90 on the lower number. And the interesting thing is, through the 70s and 80s, there wasn't very much heart disease. I didn't know anyone that had heart conditions. I didn't know anyone that was having heart attacks, right? It was pretty rare, right? Most people that were having heart conditions or heart attacks were all the smokers, which back in the day they thought was actually safe for you, right? I remember doctors actually told you it's safe to smoke while they're smoking a cigarette. Crazy times back in the day. Well, the AHA recently updated their blood pressure readings. It is now, to be healthy, you need to be below 120 and below 80. Did you get that? It needs to be below 120 over 80. So basically, you want to be like 119 over 79. And to me, that's interesting because here we go again. AHA, the American Heart Association, this organization is supposed to know everything about your heart, right? And their guidelines is people are having heart conditions because of high blood pressure. And don't get me wrong, like if your blood pressure is 160, 180 and above, that is dangerous, right? But 140 over 90 is now considered, I think, stage 1 or stage 2 hypertension, which is crazy, right? And even over 120 over 80, just say if you have 124 over 84, that's pre-hypertension, right? That is insane. So what's this all about? Well, I think it's just the medical system getting us more onto drugs to lower your blood pressure. They are literally getting people on blood pressure medication early on. Their latest guidelines, and I'll put the link in their latest website. They're saying that high blood pressure can affect anyone and everyone. It's not just about the elderly anymore or people that are compromised with weak immune system. They said it can hit you any time of life, even as children. I wonder if there is a reason why everyone's blood pressure is elevating up. And to me, elevating is beyond 140 over 90, all right? But elevating up, I wonder what the cause of that would be. Why would they be normalizing high blood pressure across all ages? Isn't that interesting? Shouldn't you be asking your doctor, hey, doc, what's going on? I'm noticing more and more people having heart attacks, dropping dead, and everyone's blood pressure is higher, like the resting heart rate's higher. What do you think caused that in the last 3 years? I don't know. Maybe it's a question that will be a good discussion with your doctor if they're willing to listen to you. Because remember, like I said, doctors are our partners in health. They should be working with us, not against us. And it is healthy to ask questions about our own health because we should be monitoring our own health, right? Anyways, going on more about the 10 recommendations, it gets even sillier, right? They're saying everyone should have only 2,300 milligrams of salt, but ideally only 1,500 milligrams of salt because it can cause high blood pressure. Well, I think the studies are up in the air for that. There are people that are sensitive to salt. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a doctor. I am not recommending any health education, right? I am just giving you the facts, the studies on what functional nutritionists are, longevity experts are finding, and they're finding that to have a healthy, long lifespan, especially if you're active, because they say stay active, because apparently everyone's lazy, and that's why they have high blood pressure. Staying active, guess what? You sweat more, right? And if you sweat more, what happens? You dehydrate, right? And you think, oh, wow, I just drank half my body weight in water. But we need electrolytes. So the more you're working out, the more you're sweating, and they're telling you to limit salt down to 1,500 milligrams. And of course, if this is regular salt, I think it should be 0. But I'm talking about high quality real salt, right? Like Himalayan sea salt, Celtic salt, blue salt, Hawaiian salt. Like there's a lot of really natural salts. Studies are showing that we should be having a minimum 3,000 up to 6,000 milligrams of salt, especially if we're sweating a lot, doing sauna treatments, like all the things that's supposed to extend our life. Guess what? If we are sweating it off, we are sweating off all the electrolytes, all the minerals that are in salt, and having that low of a salt intake can actually shorten your life, right? And once again, studies only show only certain people are sensitive to high salt content. So once again, it's something that you should be measuring yourself. Don't just go to a doctor once a year to measure your heart rate, your heart rate, your blood pressure. I think it is really good investment to have a blood pressure cuff at home, right? So if you are sensitive to salt, yeah, maybe you can limit your intake. But I think, to be honest, 1,500 is redonkulously low. That's my opinion. But listen to your body, right? That's always important. The other things they talk about is limit high fat, right? Because high fat raises cholesterol, and cholesterol causes heart attacks, heart conditions, and so on and so forth. Well, once again, there is really no studies that prove that. And they're telling you to cut off high fat, cut off all the red meats because that's all harmful for your health. Well, to be honest, it's the high fat doesn't, good fats, don't get me wrong. We're not even going to talk about all the shitty seed oils out there. But good fats is actually what protects your heart, right? And the funny thing is, in this whole article, they do not mention the one thing that has skyrocketed since the 90s to now, like in the last 30 years, and that's insulin resistance. Everyone is pre-diabetic. Everyone is becoming diabetic. And guess what? Insulin resistance is what is causing high blood pressure. It is causing heart attacks. It's causing kidney problems. It's causing basically your bodily dysfunction, right? Nowhere in that article did they actually talk about that, right? And if anything, they say, they recommend a DASH diet and eat more whole grains, like 6 to 8 servings of whole grains. Well, people is going to associate, whole grains, that's going to be like pasta, rice. Guess what? All those things raise your blood sugar. So are they telling you something that's going to lower your blood pressure or actually raise it up, right? Are they telling you something that's going to actually make you healthy or potentially make you pre-diabetic or diabetic? Once again, it is just interesting to me while everyone's following TikTok on the latest news on what the president's done or what the influencer's talking about or anything about Elon. I love Elon. No one is following what is happening, and we're all getting hoodwinked to get more medication in our life. They are normalizing taking medication is normal for blood pressure now, because I tell you, there aren't too many people that is below 120/80, especially if they are athletic, especially if they're active, right? And what people don't realize is when you are active, you need that blood pressure. You need your heart pumping. You need that blood supply to go to your muscles, right? Your brain needs blood supply. So you start wondering, with all this blood pressure medication to lower you down below 120 and below 80, if your brain gets less blood supply, I wonder how well that functions, right? If your if your muscles aren't getting enough blood supply when you're working out, maybe you're not going to be as strong or be able to lift as much weight or even do that endurance run you were able to do before. I don't know. For me, it's just food for thought. I always love diving into what warnings I like people to ask questions about, right? Like what is being pushed in front of us without knowing how nefarious it is. Anyways, check it out. I'm going to put the link on the latest AHA guidelines. Once again, I am not a doctor. I don't diagnose or cure any disease. And one of the things that the medical association will always tell you, well, when your heart's damaged, it takes forever for the heart to repair itself. It's not like the liver where it can repair itself. Well, there are holistic ways to do that. And without claiming anything about curing heart conditions, let's just say there is a holistic way and clinically studies within 6 months to make your heart younger. That's all I'm going to say right here. If people aren't looking, ask me about it. If you're concerned about any heart conditions and you don't want to be taking drugs, ask me about how we can boost our body's natural ability to repair itself and, more importantly, to keep a healthy heart. All right? Reach out to me, longevitywithandy.com. Set up a free 30-minute consult. Let's figure out what we can do to up-level your health to the next level. All right? Love what you live and live what you love. Goodbye now.